One decision that builds wealth, the secret of prosperous thinking. Have you ever felt like you were running fast, but not really sure if you're even going the right direction? You wake up in the morning and boom, a flood of choices hits you. What to eat, what to work on, which email to answer first, which half-finished task to pick up again. You're ticking boxes all day, caught in a whirlwind of must-dos. But then at night, you ask yourself, did I actually move any closer to the life I truly want? I know that feeling, because I lived like that for years. I remember a phase in my life when my day started with my phone, texts, notifications, meeting reminders. It was like my whole life was being run by things outside of me, not by what I really wanted. And the strange part, I thought I was living with purpose. I thought being busy meant I was making progress. Until one day, during a private coaching session, my mentor looked me in the eye and asked me one simple question. If you keep living exactly like you are today, where will you be in 5 years? I went quiet, not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did, and it wasn't where I wanted to end up. That moment changed everything. That's when I learned a lesson that reshaped the way I live, the way I think, and the way I build my business. You don't need to make 100 decisions a day. You need to make one bold, clear decision and take consistent action on it every single day. I call it the anchoring decision, the one decision that shapes your direction. Let me ask you something. Do you already have that kind of decision in your life? I'm not talking about what you'll eat for lunch or what to do this weekend. I'm talking about something deeper, like, I will become financially independent in the next 5 years. I will stop letting fear run my life. I will build a career that gives me freedom, both in time and in peace of mind. One of my students, Jason, 38 years old, engineer, father of 2. He came to me burnt out, overwhelmed, and feeling completely lost in the grind of his career. We didn't start by making a 90-day plan or setting goals. We started with one question. Jason, if you could choose just one decision to define your next 5 years, what would it be? He paused, took a breath, and said, I don't want to just be a good engineer. I want to be a fully present dad with my time, my mind, and my heart. So we wrote that down. And every morning for the next 6 months, Jason would wake up and ask himself, what am I doing today to live in alignment with that decision? Not 100 things, just one thing, every day, in the right direction. And you know what's amazing? After 1 year, Jason didn't just change jobs. He changed his entire way of living. Because a right decision, repeated consistently, becomes a habit. And that habit, it becomes your destiny. I want you to imagine this with me. You move through the next 365 days, and every day, you're carrying this one clear decision like a compass in your hand. You don't have to stop and recheck the map every time you hit a fork in the road. You already know where you're going. Can you feel the difference in that? Studies in behavioral psychology show our willpower and decision-making energy are limited each day. The more we spend on trivial choices, the less we have left for important ones. That's why the most successful people, from Steve Jobs to Warren Buffett, they simplify the small stuff and double down on the one big decision that truly matters. So I'll ask you this. Are you spending your energy on decisions that matter? Or are you draining your mental focus on things that don't move the needle? If today you could choose just one thing, one decision to define your life 5 years from now, what would it be? Write it down. Stick it to your bathroom mirror. Record it as a voice memo. Repeat it to yourself every morning. Live it as if there's no plan B. Don't trade your life for a bunch of little decisions that lead nowhere. Make the one decision that sets your soul on fire and commit to it like your future depends on it. Because it does, and I believe you can do it. Clear the mind, the hidden secret to sustainable wealth. I want you to picture this with me for a second. Your mind is the most fertile land you'll ever own, and every single day, whatever thought you allow in is a seed you're planting. The question is, what are we planting? One morning I was sitting with my coffee, ready to start my day. Like usual, I picked up my phone, read some news headlines, scrolled through social media for a few minutes. And suddenly, I felt this heavy weight in my chest. There was no clear reason, just a quiet anxiety, a kind of fatigue that crept in before the day even began. Have you ever felt that? 10 minutes in, and already your energy's drained, your mind's cluttered, and there's no space left for creativity or even clarity. That's when it hit me. My mind is not a trash can, but that's exactly how I've been using it. Here's the truth. The brain is a learning machine, but it's also highly absorbent. And if you keep feeding it negative news, other people's judgments or jealousy, random noise that doesn't serve your life purpose, don't be surprised when you feel lost, unmotivated, or full of self-doubt. One of my students, Kelly, 42 years old, real estate agent, came to me with a really honest question. Why is it that I've read so many self-help books, but I still feel confused and stuck in my head? So I asked her, how do you usually start your mornings? She said, I check my news feed, respond to some emails, and listen to the news on TV. Then I asked her one more thing. In the past week, how many minutes did you spend actually feeding your mind with something that nourishes you? She went quiet. Then she started crying. Not because she was judged, but because she realized she had been filling her mind all day long, but not feeding it. Full of headlines, deadlines, drama, but no wisdom, no strategy, no belief. A simple, powerful scientific fact. Neuroscientists at Stanford have shown that the human brain is shaped by repeated exposure. Right or wrong, if you hear something often enough, it becomes subconscious belief. So imagine this. If every day you're taking in 30 minutes of negative news, an hour of chaotic social media, and zero time to reflect, you're literally programming your mind to think small, stay afraid, and question yourself constantly. So here's my advice to you. Don't let your mind be ruled by the market, by the media, or by meaningless drama. Become the gatekeeper of your mental space. Swap the noise for high-quality podcasts on wealth, mindset, and life strategy. Replace scrolling with 15 minutes of reading from someone you admire. And instead of letting toxic voices shape your view, tune into a real mentor, even if it's just a short clip. Let me ask you this. Who are you allowing to speak into your mind every day? Are those voices building you or slowly breaking you down? Keeping your mind clean is one of the fastest ways to keep your wallet full. Because when you control what comes into your head, you protect your energy, sharpen your direction, and make better financial decisions every single time. Success doesn't start at the bank. It starts up here. So guard your mind like it's treasure. Because it is. You don't need more stuff. You just need less junk and a little more wisdom. Right thinking leads to right decisions, and the money will follow. One time, I was in a private coaching session with a billionaire entrepreneur. I asked him a simple question. What do you think is the biggest difference between people who build lasting wealth and those who keep struggling? He didn't hesitate. He didn't talk about luck or complex strategies. He just smiled and said, I schedule time to think. They don't. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you set aside 30 minutes? Just to think. No work, no podcasts, no scrolling, no emails, just you, sitting still and thinking. One of the biggest mistakes I see in high potential intelligent people is this. They spend their whole day reacting, but never stopping to redirect. They're answering messages, meeting deadlines, taking calls, showing up to meetings, and by the end of the day, they're exhausted. But they haven't actually thought about anything deeply. The problem isn't that you're not doing enough. The problem is you're not thinking enough. In today's noisy world, focus is rare, and the person who protects silence owns the game. According to a behavioral science study at MIT, the ability to make great decisions doesn't correlate with IQ. It correlates with how much time you spend in uninterrupted, independent thinking. In fact, people who schedule thinking time, even just 30 minutes a week, make better strategic decisions 3x more often than those who don't. That's not theory. That's 10 years of data. I have a client, Mark, a senior executive at a tech company. We meet once a week for coaching. But I gave him one unusual rule. Don't bring problems. Just bring one question. What is the most important question I could be thinking about this week? At first, Mark thought it was silly. Just sit and think. But 3 months later, Mark saved $120,000 from a single decision that came out of one quiet thinking session, not during meetings, not during work, during stillness. You don't need a PhD to think clearly. What you do need is to treat it like a priority. One session per week. Just 30 to 60 minutes. No phone, no distractions, no entertainment. Just you, a notebook, and one powerful question. Try something like, what's one thing I'm doing at work that I need to stop doing? Am I actually on track with my 5-year goals? What problem have I been avoiding? What decision, if delayed, could turn into a major mistake? Wealth doesn't come from doing more. It comes from thinking better. You don't need 1,000 decisions every week. You just need 3 to 5 truly aligned, intentional ones. And the right decision doesn't come from a noisy mind. So here's what I want you to do. Block off time for silence. Put it in your calendar like your life depends on it, because in some ways it does. Give your mind permission to pause, to breathe, to think, because in that stillness, your greatest asset will finally rise to the surface. Your clarity, your wisdom, your future. Busy doesn't mean forward. Are you moving ahead or just running in circles? I want you to imagine this. You're driving down a country road. The sun is setting. You're speeding up. The wind's in your hair. You feel like you're making progress. And then someone on the side of the road points at a sign and says, "You're going the wrong way." Ever felt like that? I have. I used to work from early morning until midnight. Always busy. Always something to do. Calendar packed with meetings, emails, messages, news, notes, goals, plans. And yet I started to realize I was exhausted, but going nowhere. One day I asked myself a hard question. Maybe it's a question you should ask too. Am I actually moving forward or just running in circles that look productive? Here's the truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're being effective. Not all movement equals progress. A hamster runs nonstop inside its little wheel. Is it working hard? Sure. Is it moving? Technically, yes. But is it going anywhere? Not 1 inch. I had a student once. Her name was Sarah. Single mom. Works in insurance. She worked 10 to 12 hours a day every day. No weekends off. She believed she was making progress because she was doing a lot. But I asked her, if you repeated today every day for the next 5 years, where would you end up? She went quiet, and then she cried. You see, most struggling people equate hard work with success. They think, the more I do, the more I deserve. But here's the hard truth. The market doesn't pay you for sweat. It pays you for results. A Stanford study found that people who work more than 55 hours a week produce no more output than those who work 40. The difference? Not in hours, but in how they use them. So ask yourself, how many meetings did you join that led to no decision? How many online courses did you watch but never applied? How many goals did you write down but never truly acted on? I get it. Being busy makes us feel like we're doing something. But busyness doesn't prove your value. It just proves you haven't prioritized your focus. Want a quick exercise? Pull out last week's calendar. Highlight 3 activities that actually created value for you, your family, your career. Just 3. Then look at the rest. If you're honest, you'll see it clearly. 90% of your time was movement, not momentum. Wealthy people, high performers, they don't necessarily work harder than you. They just work smarter than you. They don't measure productivity by how much they do. They measure it by how far they've actually moved the needle. So if you're ending each day burned out, but still unclear where you're going, don't blame yourself. Just pause. Instead of asking, did I do enough today? Try this. Did what I do today move me toward where I want to be? You don't need to go faster. You need to go in the right direction. You don't need to do more. You need to do less, but more meaningful. And you don't need to prove yourself to the world. You just need to answer one honest question. Am I moving forward or just running in circles? Each hour is capital. Are you spending or investing your time? I want you to imagine this. Every morning when you wake up, the universe hands you $24. Not in cash, but in hours. 24 hours, 24 chances. And the question is, how will you use them? Will you invest them or just spend them? Have you ever thought of time as capital? I didn't, not at first. I used to treat time like an empty jar I had to fill. Said yes to every meeting, every invitation, every we should catch up. I thought I was living fully, but the truth? I wasn't investing my time. I was spending it. And the return? There wasn't one. No new skills, no deep relationships, no meaningful progress. Just a bunch of busy days that left me exactly where I started. You see, wealthy people, They're not rich because they have more hours. They're rich because they treat time like capital. 1 hour to them isn't just get through it. It's, what will this hour give back to me? A new skill? A valuable connection? A potential income stream? If the answer is none of the above, they cut it ruthlessly. And you can learn to do the same starting today. Let me tell you about one of my clients, Michael. Super talented guy in tech. Always busy, always overwhelmed. He kept saying, I don't have time. So I asked him, have you ever audited your time? He laughed. Audit? That's for money, not time. And I said, wrong. Time is the first asset you need to audit. So we sat down and mapped out his past 7 days, hour by hour, and what he discovered shocked him. 11 hours on emails that didn't matter, 7 hours in meetings that went nowhere, 6 hours scrolling through social media, and just 2 hours learning anything new. Michael didn't lack time. He was just investing it in the wrong places. What about you? If every hour was $1, are you investing in something that builds your future wealth? Or are you throwing your capital into black holes? Try asking yourself these 3 questions before you start anything. What will this hour return to me? Will it grow my skills, my relationships, or my income? If not, should I even be doing it? Here's a simple habit I recommend. Start a time investment journal. Every week, track hours that made you grow, hours that just kept you busy. Cut the. Double down on the. Do it week after week, and you'll start compounding your time like compound interest. Poor people say, I need to kill time. Wealthy people say, I need to multiply it. Because just like with money, not every use of time brings a return. You have to place it where the ROI is highest, in wisdom, relationships, and cash flow. So here's the big shift. See each hour as a seed. Where are you planting it? If you plant in value, you'll reap freedom. If you plant in distractions, you'll harvest regret. You are the greatest investor of your own life, not on Wall Street, but in how you spend your calendar. So today, start treating time not like a clock, but like a portfolio. Because the smartest investors aren't just managing their money, they're mastering their time. And that's exactly where wealthy thinking begins. Are you resting or just escaping? I want you to picture this. It's the end of a long day. You're tired, worn out. You grab a glass of wine, open Netflix, or scroll your phone for the 100th time. And you tell yourself, I'm resting. But are you really, or are you just trying to escape? I've been there. I used to grind all day, barely knowing what I actually achieved. And by night, I wasn't resting because I earned it. I was collapsing because I had nothing left. That kind of rest, it wasn't energy renewal. It was emotional numbness. It was me running from the silent thought, I feel stuck. Have you ever felt like that? Let me offer you a hard truth. Rest is not a default reward. It's not what you deserve just because you're exhausted. Rest is a reward that comes after value is created. Successful people don't rest to forget life. They rest with intention. They rest because they've given their best, and they need to recharge for the next breakthrough. Let me tell you about Sarah, one of my coaching students. Single mom, full-time job, building an online business at night. She always felt guilty for resting, until one day she almost fainted during a Zoom call. Her body said what her mind wouldn't admit. You can't keep going like this. We sat down together, and for the first time in years, we built a rest discipline schedule. I told her, you need to schedule your rest, the same way you schedule meetings. And even more important, rest only after you've created value. We called it Rest with Integrity. Now here's the science behind it. Psychology research shows that people who rest after completing a meaningful task experience 3x more recovery and satisfaction than those who rest without finishing anything. Why? Because your brain needs a completion signal to truly relax. If you rest while your mind is spinning, thinking about the emails, the calls, the undone work, you're not really resting. You're just stepping back. But the tension stays. So here's what I want you to do. Don't rest randomly. Rest intentionally. Create a rest ritual. Finish at least one valuable task for the day. Pick a specific hour to unplug and protect it. Choose real recovery. A walk, a book, cooking, stillness. Not numbing, but healing. And most importantly, don't use rest as a way to delay life. Use it as a charging station so you can come back stronger. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you rested because you deserved it? Not because you were drained, not because you were hiding from life, but because you showed up fully and you earned it? Do you even remember what that felt like? Rest is like breathing. Effort is the inhale. Recovery is the exhale. You can't just inhale forever, but you also can't exhale if you've never taken anything in. True wealth, it comes when you work with purpose and rest with discipline. So don't let your evenings become a quiet escape from a life you're not proud of. Turn them into rewards for your commitment, because you deserve to rest after doing something worth resting for. And when you rest like a champion, not to run from life, but to prepare for your next win, you don't just earn more, you become more. The wealthy don't just work, they build systems so money works for them. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you woke up on a Monday morning and your first thought was, here we go again? Coffee, meetings, emails, deadlines repeat. This week, next year. You're exhausted, but have no idea how to get off the treadmill. You're not lazy, you're working hard, but are you working toward freedom, or are you trapped in a cycle that goes nowhere? I had a client once. His name was John. Marketing expert, smart, responsible. He worked nonstop, but for 7 years his income barely moved. I asked him, where does your money actually come from? He answered without hesitation, from what I do, every hour, every project. And that was the problem. John was trading effort for income, not building a system that could scale, repeat, and grow. Here's the truth I want you to write on your wall. Poor people work for money. Wealthy people build systems, so money works for them. If you stop working, does your income stop too? If you get sick or just want to take a month off, does everything fall apart? That's not freedom. That's just a modern version of slavery with better lighting and a fancy job title. I'm not saying you should stop working. I'm saying you should start building systems. A system might look like a course you create once and sell 1,000 times, a YouTube channel, podcast, or online membership, a team that runs without you, a sales funnel that works at 2 a.m. while you sleep. It doesn't need your presence. It needs your strategy. Harvard Business Review reports that people who focus on building systems, not just grinding, are 42% more likely to achieve financial freedom a full decade earlier than their peers. Why? Because income feeds today, cash flow builds tomorrow, and only systems create sustainable cash flow. So ask yourself, are you working, or are you building something that can work without you? If you disappeared for 2 weeks, would your income disappear too? Let's go back to John. After a year of coaching, he shifted from being a busy freelancer to becoming a system owner. He created a basic marketing course, recorded it, structured it, and connected it to an automated email funnel. For 3 months, nothing big happened. But then, 3 a.m., he texts me, Coach, I just woke up, 3 new sales while I was asleep. His voice cracked with emotion, because for the first time in his life, money came in while he rested. You don't need to be a CEO or throw millions into some startup. You just need an idea that can be replicated, a process that runs without your constant attention, a commitment to think beyond this month's paycheck. Don't ask, how much can I make this month? Ask, if I stop working, will money still flow? Jobs keep you alive. Systems set you free. Jobs trade time for money. Systems turn ideas into cash flow beyond your strength or schedule. You were not born just to make a living. You were born to build something that outlives you. So if today is the first day you're ready to think differently, start like this. Write down what you can teach, lead, or organize better than most. Then ask, how can I build a system around this? Set aside 30 minutes a day, not just to survive this week, but to create something that serves you for life. The sooner you start, the closer you get to freedom. Because one day you'll be tired. And when that day comes, what you built will work for you. Success doesn't come from working hard. It comes from choosing the right thing to work on first. Think back to yesterday. How many things did you do? How many emails did you send? How many minutes did you spend cleaning the house? How many hours did you scroll your phone? Now ask yourself, how much of that actually moved me closer to the life I want? We often confuse being busy with making progress. But the truth is, most of us are just running on autopilot, doing things out of habit, not because they actually move the needle. Let me tell you about Kyle, a young entrepreneur I once coached. Kyle was driven. He woke up early, journaled, practiced Spanish, answered emails, posted daily on LinkedIn. He was consistent. He was disciplined. But after 6 months, he still had no new clients. His revenue? Flat. So I asked him one simple question. Which of these things actually generates cash flow or builds high-value skills? He went quiet because he didn't know. So I shared with him a lesson every wealthy person understands deeply. Don't measure your work by how busy it feels. Measure it by ROI, return on investment. And ROI isn't just about money. It's about the value you get back for every hour, every task, every relationship you pour your time and energy into. Ask yourself, does this activity build a high-income skill? Does it create passive income or leverage? Does it open up new, better opportunities down the line? If the answer is no, stop. You're just productively busy, not actually moving forward. I'll be honest with you. There was a time I spent 3 hours every day making my PowerPoint slides prettier. It felt productive, but it didn't get me more clients. It didn't help my students, and it sure didn't grow my income. So what did I do? I hired a design assistant, $20 an hour, and I used that 3-hour block to personally call 5 potential clients. Result? 1 contract closed. That single call paid 20x the cost of the assistant. That's the power of ROI thinking. I didn't work harder. I just did the right work. See, habits feel safe. We do them because they're familiar, even when they're useless. It's like someone who jogs at the gym every day, but refuses to lift weights because it hurts. Or an employee who spends hours perfecting reports, but never makes a bold move to bring in a new client. Habits aren't bad, but if the ROI is low, they're slowing you down. So here's a challenge for you. If you could only do one thing today, which task would bring you the highest return in your finances, your skills, or your relationships? Just one thing. Do it first. The wealthiest people, they don't do more. They choose better. They prioritize the highest ROI activity every single day. Warren Buffett sees thousands of investment opportunities every year, but he only picks a few, the ones with massive ROI. The rest, he walks away from. Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." So if you want to apply ROI thinking to your life today, start with this. Write down the 5 things you were planning to do today. Estimate the ROI of each in money, skill, or relationship capital. Do the highest ROI task first. Cut or delegate the ones that just feel comfortable but don't actually matter. Because success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from investing your time strategically. Don't let habit drag you further away from your real goals. Instead, ask yourself this every morning. Does this action move me closer to the life I truly want? If the answer is no, then you already know what to do. How the wealthy react under pressure, the pause that builds fortune. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone say something to you and your first instinct was to clap back instantly? Have you ever opened a message, your heart racing, blood boiling, and you just wanted to reply right now? Or maybe you were sitting at a negotiation table and someone threw out a shocking offer and you had 5 seconds to decide. I want you to pause for a moment and remember one of those times. Now here's what separates the truly successful from everyone else. The wealthy don't react instantly. They pause. They create a small gap, just a few seconds, between what happens and how they respond. And in that tiny pause, they change their future. I once coached a brilliant engineer. One day, his boss publicly criticized him in a meeting, unfairly and harshly. His instinct? To defend himself, push back, raise his voice. But he remembered something I'd once told him. Never respond when you're angry. Never decide when you're being pushed. So he took a breath, lifted his head, said nothing. A few hours later, he sent a calm, thoughtful email, full of logic, clarity, and quiet strength. The result? Not only did his boss respect him more, he was assigned a major project 2 weeks later. That's the power of the pause. Poor thinkers react emotionally. Wealth thinkers respond strategically. Why? Because they know something most people don't. Power isn't in speed. It's in the depth of thought. Reacting instantly might feel good in the moment, but the long-term cost could be a missed opportunity, broken trust, or a 5-year setback, all because of a 5-second reaction. Here's what neuroscience tells us. The brain has two systems of response: the fast, emotional, impulsive one, designed for survival; the slow, thoughtful, strategic one, designed for leadership. The wealthy, the mature, the emotionally intelligent, and Zquan, they learn to stretch the space between stimulus and response. And that space is where power lives. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you got triggered? How did you respond? Now imagine, what if you had paused just 10 seconds? How different would that conversation be? Warren Buffett once said, "I never invest when I'm excited. My billion-dollar decisions are made after days of silence, reflection, and reading." He's not in a rush. He's precise. So here's a simple tool I teach all my students. I call it the 4 power breaths. Next time you're about to react, just breathe. 4 slow, deep breaths. No screens, no words, no sudden moves. It will calm your nervous system and give your mind time to think like a leader. Then, and only then, respond. In a world where everyone is rushing, the one who pauses leads. You don't need to be the fastest speaker, the quickest texter, or the loudest voice in the room. You need to be the one who thinks the clearest before you move. Because wealth doesn't come from emotional outbursts. It comes from clarity in the pause. So before you react today, pause, breathe, think, then decide with power. I'd love to hear from you. When was the last time you paused and it paid off? Or the last time you reacted too fast and regretted it? Drop a comment. Let's learn from each other. Because that one pause could change everything. The rich don't follow schedules, they design their days. Let me ask you a question. Is your day really yours? Or does it feel like you're just constantly reacting to emails, meetings, texts, notifications, other people's plans? You wake up, open your phone, and boom, you're already on someone else's agenda. Have you ever ended your day thinking, wait, what did I actually do today? Not because you were lazy, but because everything felt scattered? You're not alone. Many of my clients, smart, ambitious, successful professionals, have told me the same thing. I feel like I'm just surviving each day, not actually living it. And you know what I've realized? There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who are driven by other people's demands, always reacting, responding, adjusting. And those who design each day like an architect designs a building, with purpose, precision, and vision. The truly successful don't start their mornings asking, what do I have to do today? They ask, what am I building today for the future I want? Let me tell you a story. One of my coaching clients, a brilliant marketing director in San Francisco, making over $200,000 a year, came to me exhausted, always behind, always overwhelmed. So I asked her, whose calendar are you living on? She didn't say a word. She just looked at me and nodded because she knew the answer. We redesigned her mornings. No emails for the first 90 minutes, 1 full hour of deep strategic thinking, 3 high-leverage tasks, chosen the night before. That's it. And you know what happened? She started doing less, but creating twice the value. More importantly, she took back ownership of her day. Because here's the truth. You can't build a castle if you're constantly putting out fires. You can't lead the game if you're just chasing balls other people kick at you all day. The wealthy don't wake up to survive the day. They engineer it, piece by piece, like a blueprint for the life they want. And there's science to back this up. A Stanford University study found that people who plan their day based on long-term goals are 27% happier, 38% more likely to increase their income over the next 3 years. Why? Because when you design your day, you're laying 1 brick toward your desired future. When you just react to life, you're building on someone else's blueprint. So here's a simple challenge for you. Tonight before bed, ask yourself 1 question. What is 1 thing I can do tomorrow that builds the future I want? Just 1, not 10, not a to-do list. Just 1 action, for you, not for the world. Because if you don't own your day, someone else will. So I'll ask again, is your day designed by you or thrown at you by the world? Are you living by your plan or reacting to someone else's? Time is your raw material. The rich don't let it slip through their fingers. They shape it, mold it, use it. You can live to survive or you can live to create. And that shift starts tomorrow morning with your calendar. Drop a comment and tell me, what's 1 thing you'll build tomorrow on purpose. Real financial thinking begins after payday. If you only think about money on payday, you're playing in the minor leagues. Let me ask you something, and I mean this sincerely. When do you think about money the most? For most people, the answer is simple: on payday. That's when they check their account, calculate the bills, decide how much they can spend, and then wait for the next paycheck. Sound familiar? I'm not judging, but I'll be honest, that's not financial thinking. That's survival thinking. Let me explain. Real financial mindset doesn't revolve around a paycheck. It revolves around building assets, the kind that make money without needing your time. Wealthy people don't ask, "How much is my salary this month?" They ask, "What systems am I building? Which assets are working while I sleep? How do I make every dollar I earn produce more dollars?" Let me tell you a real story. One of my coaching students, Carlos, an IT engineer in Texas, was earning $90,000 a year. Not bad, but he always felt tight, behind, stuck. So I asked him, "Do you have any income streams outside your paycheck?" He shook his head. "I've been thinking about investing, but I don't feel ready." So we started small. He began putting 10% of his income into an ETF index fund every month, automatically. Then he built a tiny online system to teach basic programming to beginners. Fast forward 2 years, his salary, still $90,000. But that online system was bringing in nearly $5,000 a month and growing. Carlos looked at me and said, "I don't think about money the way I used to. Now I think in systems, in leverage, in freedom." And I smiled, because that's when I knew he was no longer playing in the minor leagues. If you only think about money on payday, you'll stay stuck in this cycle. Work, get paid, spend, repeat. Want to break out of that loop? Then ask bigger questions. How can I turn my skills into digital assets? How can I build passive income streams? How can I turn every expense into an opportunity for returns? Behavioral finance research shows people who succeed financially don't just control their income, they control their mindset around value, risk, and leverage. Your salary is important, but it's only one line on your financial map. Living your whole life on a single income stream is the highest risk strategy there is. So let me ask you this, and don't brush it off. If your paycheck disappeared tomorrow, what would still be working for you? Would there be a system that keeps producing cash flow, a digital asset still running, or just emptiness and fear? I'm not asking to scare you. I'm asking to wake up something higher in you. You weren't born just to earn and spend. You were born to create value, build assets, and experience freedom. True financial thinking begins inside, with how you ask questions, with the moment you stop living like a paycheck chaser and start thinking like a financial builder. So now I'll challenge you. What's one idea you'll start with to build assets, not just live off your paycheck? Drop it in the comments. Let's start designing your wealth from the inside out. Don't wait for a promotion. Give yourself one every day. The more valuable you are, the more money chases you. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever worked harder than ever, but still watched someone else get the raise, get the praise, get the spotlight? While you stayed invisible, one of my students, Julia, once told me, "I feel like no one even notices me." And I asked her, "Are you giving yourself a promotion every day?" She froze, because that question hit deeper than she expected. Here's what I want you to understand. You don't need someone else's approval to grow. You don't need your company to raise your pay before you raise your value. The most successful people I know, they promote themselves daily, not through titles, not through waiting, but through a quiet, powerful commitment. I will become too valuable to ignore. Let me tell you a story. Back when I worked with a training firm in New York, there was this quiet IT guy named Malik. Every evening after work, he stayed behind for 30 minutes, learning AI on his own. No one told him to. No deadlines. No extra pay. 6 months later, the company decided to launch an AI department. Guess who was chosen to lead it? Yep, Malik. He didn't ask for the opportunity. He built value so real, so obvious, the opportunity came looking for him. Occupational psychology has proven your market value doesn't come from your job title. It comes from your skills, your thinking, and your problem-solving ability. If you improve just 1% every day, in a year, you'll be unrecognizable from who you are today. People don't get paid for years of experience. They get paid for being rare and valuable. So I want you to try something, starting today. Write down one new skill you want to master in the next 90 days. Find someone better than you in that field and study how they work. Spend 25 minutes each day learning, practicing, or building. No permission needed. No green light from your boss. This is your game. You are the only person who can promote yourself consistently. In today's economy, high income doesn't come from working harder. It comes from being harder to replace. Want a 10% raise? 10x your skill set. Want to switch careers? Learn from someone who's already there. Want real freedom? Don't just be a great employee. Become a go-to expert. Every morning when you get out of bed, you've got two choices. Live like your old position or step into your next level identity. You don't need a new job to level up. You just need one decision. Today, I promote myself. Because one day, if you keep showing up, building, growing, you'll become too valuable to overlook. And at that point, money, it comes looking for you. Comment below. What's one thing you'll do today to promote yourself? Wealth isn't something we wait for. It's something we actively design every single day.